home, but it starts to be the way away from home. But we are thinking at that moment that this is the way home. I hope, guys, you understand what I mean, because it can really feel complicated. But this is a very important part of our work, to know where are you standing right now. So, hi guys, now I can see that my other platform is on, we are live. So I was just like doing some introduction before everything started to work out. So I want to welcome you once again to the workshop that is called Beyond the Survival Self. And these 3 days that we will be together, they're supposed to take you on a journey, towards your authentic self. And we will be discussing a lot of underwater currents, discussing a lot of places where we can lie to ourselves, where we can fake the work, like use the work to fake the work. And there is a lot of wisdom in understanding all that. There is a lot of self-realization. There is a lot of kindness towards yourself that is needed on this way. So this workshop is about understanding the layers of our traumatized self. Because when we are born to a family that is not the ideal perfect family, that can understand our feelings, that can raise us as they should. Because we are right now, I think, in a dark age of emotional field, because people understand their emotions already really well. We can understand what do we feel, but we cannot yet, like in the majority of us, really know what to do with those emotions. Hi guys, hi everybody who's joining right now. I'm happy to see you here. So we have the dark emotional age that is not, it's not bad. It's just the stage that we are going through, and this stage has its own pluses and minuses. And at this point, at this stage, we need to understand that we are born not to an ideal, understanding family who can raise us the way it should be. And it's not bad and it's not good, it's just like the way it is. So when we are born to a family, I call it like energetic soup. We are born to some place where there are different people with their different emotions, with their different understanding of their emotions. And at that moment, we cannot be authentic selves, because we need to adapt to the consequences of that dark emotional dark age. Yeah, because our parents can want something from us, and they want that, for example, for good. They want to raise good children, they want to raise successful children, and they can even say that this is for our own good, that they prepare us to live in the world where we are born. Yeah, and that's not good or bad in and of itself. But when they are trying to make out of us something that's not us already. So being born to a family where we are not accepted as we are because of some social environment, because of some parents that we have, and we need to adapt to that. So we put on those protective layers. So there is a core inside, and there are a lot of protective layers, protective personalities that we start to create in order to survive. And again, I'm telling you this because in my work, I've been doing this work for a long time with a lot of people, and I see that a lot of people start to think that those layers are bad. Because now we are going in our society, especially in the United States, we are going to self-awareness, self-regulation, self-understanding, spiritual work, and all that stuff. And we start to treat those protective layers as bad layers, as something we need to get rid of. So just think of it. You're trying to get rid of the layers of yourself that are actually not bad. They were protecting you from the very beginning of your life. And you are standing at that point where you think that those layers, they are not letting you get something. They are not letting you get some relationship bliss, yes, or they're not letting you get some financial goals reached, and you feel like those layers are making you smaller, and that's actually what's happening. But you are in yourself in opposition to those layers of protection that were created. You are making yourself even smaller because that opposition creates even more pressure. And you're standing in that position right now, most of you. I'm not saying that all of you, but most of you are standing in that position where you are against those layers. And this is not even conscious process because, I'm working with a lot of people who are coming to me to work even one-on-one or to work in group dynamics. And they're coming to fix something, to fix relationships, to fix some career problems, to fix financial problems. And all that is coming from that word fix. I want to fix this. I want to be better. I want to be the best me I've ever could be. And this is that dynamic that is not healthy, because in that situation, you are in opposition to those protective layers. And this is the missing puzzle that people just don't see in the spiritual work. So by trying to get rid of something that feels like a limitation, you are creating a new limitation. So you're limiting yourself in your own inner work by being against those part of your personality that were protecting you. And all those 3 days of a workshop, they are about this. They are about this way that is supposed to be towards your home, towards your core, authentic, real you. And again, I don't like to use those words like real or true, because I think they are overused right now and people just treat them like, oh, this is true me and this is not true me. And if it's not true me, I need to get rid of this not true me. This is something bad. This personality that is protecting me, it's a bad personality because it's not true me. But in reality, it's also your true self, but just a protective part of your true self. All of that is you. Yeah, so this missing piece is very important, and we will get back to this piece over and over again through our 3 days workshop that is about of being connected to your core. So day 1 is it about ancestral sources of patterns, and I will be drawing today some schemes for you guys, because those schemes will help you to understand, to realize where you're standing right now. It will help you to realize what is trauma, how we are creating the trauma response, the floor of trauma, how we are walking from one side to another, thinking that we are progressing, but actually we are not. We're just walking from one part to another, not doing actually any deep work. We are just like realizing one part, then realizing another part, and that's it. We're not integrating. We are not doing anything that can help us to be more whole. So the first day, it's ancestral sources of patterns. We will uncover the family stories and scenarios you've inherited. But we're not interested in scenarios and stories by themselves, because a lot of work sometimes is not done because people are stuck in those dynamics of repeating and talking about the stories. We don't need the stories by themselves. We need the energies of those patterns. Like, where are you standing? As I told you, the first step of the method of 3 eyes is the first eye, that is called identification. Where are you standing right now? We need to identify your stepping stone. So where are you? Are you going towards yourself, or are you going away from yourself? Are you using the work to actually do the work, or are you using the work to avoid your deep wounds, deep trauma responses, deep feelings of inadequacy, abandonment, loneliness, and so on and so forth? Because if you are right now going away, the first thing that we need to do is to turn you back, turn you to yourself. And there are good reasons why you are not doing that, because you experienced some pain. You experienced some dynamics that were not in your favor. And that is the main thing. When you understand that there you've lost a lot. You've lost like a lot by feeling that pain, and you were so in pain at that moment that now you're turning away from yourself and running away, and that actually feels good. And this is the game our subconscious mind is playing. It says, okay, you need to run away because there was a time when you were in pain, when you were a child and you couldn't cope, and that was so painful that now we need to do everything but not to go deep in that loneliness again. And you can even come to self-help industry, I can say, self-help field. Find a guide, a mentor, a person who guides you to the process of uncovering those deep patterns, beliefs. And you can even do the work and come closer. But all that you're doing is actually to run away, because at the end, when you meet your painful self, you meet that pain, you meet that part of you that actually exists there, you just run away. Why? Because your brain says, we didn't cope at that time, we are not able to do this now, we just need to create some pattern or to follow some pattern to run away. And that's what we are doing in most of the cases. So today we will uncover the family stories that are doing that for you. Because when you have the story of pain, abandonment, of being forced, for example, to grow up fast or something like it, those family stories, they're actually creating those loops of running away from yourself. We will analyze, and it's the key to analyze from the point where you can see those patterns in front of you, not being inside of them. So we will analyze the key ancestral patterns that drive your decisions. And we will see how these patterns show in your daily life. This is the main goal of today's live. Yeah, we will see all those things, and we will dive deeper into that. My first thing that I want to show you right now, it's the way that trauma is formed. Let's talk about trauma first. So the trauma is not something really profound or bad that happened to you. Because a lot of people think that trauma is when I was, I was not just not allowed to put on the pants I wanted. But people think that trauma is something big. When I was bitten, when my dad left. Or trauma is when my mom had a depression and I was all by myself through my whole childhood. Yes, this is trauma, but it's not the only way you can experience trauma. Trauma is something that you cannot go through remaining whole. You need to fragment yourself to survive. So if something needs your fragmentation, that is your trauma. So even if you had a very supportive mom, but she was always like telling you what to do, and you had to adapt to that mom that is telling you what to do, like, okay, this is right, this is right, this is right, and this is right. And you don't know yet because you are a little child, you don't know what is right. So you just need to follow my opinion. And when your mom is like that, you need to adapt to that mom. And you can adapt only by fragmenting yourself. Because you cannot fragment your body, but you can fragment your psyche. You can say, okay, mom, I will obey. I will be the way you want me to be. And at that moment, you will push away the part of you that is actually a rebellion, that is actually, that has their own understanding of what they want, of where they want to go, what they want to do. And when you grow up, with this fragmentation, you identify yourself as an obedient person, as a people pleaser, as a good girl. And at that moment, you understand that you pushed away a huge part of yourself, the one that knows what they want, the one that understands their desires, the one that has a lot to say to this world. And sometimes you can feel like that part of you is trying to wake up, is trying to show up. But you are constantly pushing that part away. Like, this is not me. I need to be nice to people. I need to understand people. I need to see their needs. I need to meet their needs first, because this is important. Because this is your survival strategy. This is your survival self. Survival you, who understood that, okay, if I'm like this, my mom will accept me. My mom will do something for me. So when you grew up in this dynamics, you just feel like there is no other way. So this is trauma. This is traumatic response when you start to be someone pushing away another part of yourself. Like, okay, I'm an obedient one, I'm pushing away the rebellion one. And I will tell you that, we'll show you right now, drawing the floor of trauma, how is it formed in my method of 3 eyes. 3 eyes, it's identification, integration, initiation. 3 eyes, 3 steps process that helps you to really integrate your trauma and really to start standing up. So you are raising your vibrations, yeah? And you are standing not inside of your trauma. You are owning your trauma. You are owning everything that happened, and you're not against it, you're not for it. You just see that it had that place in yourself. It made that fragmentation, but now you are in the point where you are not fragmented anymore. You are whole again, and you can use everything that trauma created inside of you in your own benefit. For example, if you are a people pleaser, if you learned to understand people's needs, when you own your trauma, you're standing in the point, not like, now I'm important, I can like do everything that I want. This is the same floor. But when you own your trauma, you stand above it all. And above doesn't mean like I'm smarter, now I'm better. No, above it's the vibration where you can see and own that, yes, that happened to me. Yes, I was fragmented. Now I'm integrated. And that integration is not making you without scars. You have scars, and those scars that they can stay with you forever. But at that moment, you understand that this people pleasing dynamic created inside of you some superpower. Now you can see what people want. Now you can understand people's needs, and you can help them if you want to. Maybe in your career, you can use it. Maybe you can use it in your family. For example, you can be a parent that understands their kids very well because you've been a people pleaser. You knew exactly what a person needs. You knew exactly what to do. You knew exactly what to say. But now you're not saying that because you're scared they will abandon you, but you're saying that because you feel like, okay, in this situation, I can really help my child better because I know what they feel. I know what they need. So this traumatic response, that traumatic part of yourself starts to be a part that really can help you. You can own that part. That's what really happens. So let's get back to the floor of trauma, and I will show you how does it form itself. So let's first understand that when you are born, you come to this life with some vibration. Yeah, it's just like an image. I don't mean that vibration looks like this. I'm just making an image for you to understand that this vibration is different from that vibration. So you are born to this world. For example, this is your vibration, and this is you. And you are born to some energetic soup. So those things that I draw, these are some events, and they're neutral. So there can be some major event. For example, your dad is leaving your mom and your whole family, and now you are alone with your mom who needs to take another job, and you're sort of abandoned and you need to be by yourself. So this is a major event, but there are a lot of small events, and I'm calling it like a neutral, energetic soup. I understand that my handwriting can be confusing, but I will name what I write. So neutral, energetic soup. Why neutral? Because in general, it's neutral. Your father left your mother. it doesn't mean that he is bad or she is bad, because both of them, they have their own perspectives on the whole story. And there is you, and you have your own perspective, and all the perspectives combined together, like it's an objective perspective, but we cannot see it. We see everything from our own point of view. And in this moment, I say neutral because those circumstances, they stay neutral until you call them something. And you call them something when it is already a traumatic response. What do I mean by that? So let's see. This girl, let's name her, I don't know, Mary. Mary was born into a family where her father left her mother. Her dad left her mom. And this is the major event. But there were small events, like misunderstandings between her parents. Like her dad could call her mom names, and he could raise his voice, and she was not very safe in that environment. They could fight, yes? So Mary had all those things going on, and they were neutral till the point when her dad actually left. And she felt like her vibrations went down to the point of trauma. And I will tell you how in method of 3 eyes trauma is characterized. Now I'm telling you how is it seen in the method of 3 eyes. I'm not talking about like general psychology or something like it. I'm talking about the method of 3 eyes right now. Method of 3 eyes, once again, identification, integration, initiation. 3 eyes like this, like a Roman 3. Identification, integration, initiation. So we will talk about it a little bit later. Just like know that I'm talking about method of 3 eyes. So then we have some point where her vibrations went down. Why did they do so? Why? Because at this point she had 2 things going on. Number 1, her need wasn't met, or her needs weren't met. So unmet need. Unmet need is a very important part of the creation of this traumatic core. So unmet need could be unconditional love of her father, for example, unconditional love. That need wasn't met, and her psyche starts to create an explanation why this need wasn't met. What is the reason for that? And that creates the whole tree of beliefs. So the second thing that creates this core traumatic point, the very important thing is limiting belief. Limiting belief that makes you smaller, because we all have beliefs. We can't live without beliefs. But some beliefs are making us wider, sort of it, yeah? And some beliefs, they have a lot of limitations, and they limit us. They make us smaller. So the limiting belief is created like an explanation of why I cannot meet my need. So this can be, I'm not good enough. I'm a bad daughter. It's all me. I'm not good enough. So if I were good enough, my daddy would have stayed with my mom, but he left. That means that I'm not good enough. And then you have the whole tree, like you cannot trust men because all of them are not trustworthy. You can't trust men. So, and there is the whole tree of limiting beliefs that is created at that moment. And at that moment, all that neutral energetic soup starts to have a charge. And that charge, you can feel it physically. When you do some practice, some work, when you go back to some memories of your childhood, you really can feel that something is charged. It's really charged. And you can feel like when you are releasing that charge, this feels nice. This feels good when you can release that charge. But the releasing of that charge is not helping with the trauma on its own. Why? Because when you release the charge of that energy that is stuck there, you just transfer that energy to another part of yourself. Because if you are not integrating what had happened there, and integration depends on unmet need and on the limiting belief, if you're not really digging deep to the limiting belief that was created only because you couldn't do anything else, you had to explain to yourself why I cannot be unconditionally loved. And there is a very important thing to understand there, that in our psyche, deep inside, we have a blueprint. The blueprint, for example, that we need food to eat. And if we eat that food, we can survive. We need to sleep. And there is one very important piece there. My parents are right and I'm wrong. There is that deep loyalty that is inside of us. Even if you're rebellion and you can say, oh, I didn't care about my parents. I said, I don't care about you guys. I will do everything that I want. That is also coming from loyalty to your parents, because you are trying to get their attention the way you can. You couldn't do that by being a people pleaser. You're trying to be a rebellion to get the attention. That's like a little child when their mommy is busy. A little toddler will do anything to get the attention, because that attention means survival. And it is deep, deep in our blueprint, that loyalty to our parents. That's why when we have an unmet need, we cannot explain that's because my dad is bad. We explain in it that's because I'm bad. That loyalty is creating that mechanism inside of ourselves where we are against ourselves. But being against ourselves, we are actually on board with our parents, because they are against us at the very beginning. And we think if I am against me, I'm connected to them because they are against me too. So we are together against me. So this is the pattern of triangulation. But in that triangulation, there are your parents, you and you. And you are against yourself. So you fragment yourself and you make your part to be against of the rest of you. And this is really crazy, huh? How does it feel to understand that, guys? It can be really, really frustrating to know that you are the one being against yourself. You can be the one who is doing everything to actually be on board with parents, but be against yourself, even if you feel like it was different. Like, I'm a rebellion. I was always against my parents. How is it possible? It is possible. It is more than possible. That is what's happening in reality, underneath your skin. So at that moment, you are creating that spot of trauma. Not good, not bad. We are not saying that something is good or bad. We are seeing the dynamic here. So that creates, I will take this away. So there is a limited belief. So I can draw a floor. We create a floor. Let me get another marker because this one is already dry. We create a floor of trauma. What is a floor of trauma? Hi guys. Hi everyone. So what is a floor of trauma that is created? The floor of trauma, how we call it in the method of 3 eyes. This floor, it's actually a very interesting thing that we are doing inside of us. We are fragmenting ourselves. And one part is, let's call it an A part. It doesn't mean that one part is better than the other. No. It's just like the letters, A and B, 1 and 2, 2 and 1. Doesn't matter. You can create a symbol. If you don't like the hierarchy, you feel like you are with the A and B, you're given some superiority to A, and B feels less good. So just do the star and the sun, whatever. So create something for yourself. But I will call it A and B. And we are doing here the very important process of fragmentation. Fragmentation. Why are we doing it? Because we cannot stay whole at that moment. We need to divide inside of ourselves to create some kind of a loyalty with our parents, to create some kind of a protective layer. Here, there is a lot of pain. A lot of pain that is coming from an unmet need. Unmet need creates that pain. So, how can you be traumatized? I'm always given the example. I'm from Ukraine. And in Ukraine, when I was little, a lot of parents were doing such thing as they were thinking for their kids what to put on. In the United States, I haven't seen that story, but in Ukraine, back in Ukraine, I saw it a lot of times. When mom decides what you're gonna wear, you will wear this dress to the kindergarten, you will wear this shoes, you will wear this or that, and so on and so forth. So mom was dressing up her child as a little doll, for example. And what is happening here? You want to put on another pants, but your mom stops you there and says, no, these pants are not good for a kindergarten. You will wear these ones because it's cold, because it's something, and she forces you to do that. And you feel at that point an unmet need of self-expression. So I want to express my own desire. I want to express it the way I can. And if that desire is constantly, it's cut off. Your parents, they are cutting off that desire. No, that's not good. No, this is not a good choice. You need to do something else. You need to choose something else. And if you stay in that energetic soup constantly, you start to go here to the point of trauma. In that point, you feel like there is an unmet need. I cannot express my desire. And then you make an explanation, a limiting belief that explains why. I'm bad, or I'm weak. I'm a weak person. I'm a weak person. I'm not allowed to have my own desires. I'm not allowed to be myself. To be myself is bad. And by thinking this, you are creating this dynamic. You say, okay, I'm not allowed to be myself. I will be anything but myself. Because I don't want to go to that point where I was alone with this pain of an unmet need anymore. I don't want to go there ever again. And if you don't want to go there ever again, you create a lot of patterns, a lot of layers, a lot of protective mechanisms that are telling you, okay, we will do anything not to go back to that point of trauma. So you can create a personality. For example, you have an unmet need on unconditional love because your daddy left you when you were a kid, and you think that you're not good enough. And at the same moment, you think that actually you cannot trust men because they can be blah, 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 blah. And you're creating a personality, a sort of independent woman, independent, self-made, self-assured, successful, and so on. And this personality relies on their own feelings, strengths, anything. And this personality, you can identify yourself 95% of the time with this personality. You say, oh yeah, I'm this, I'm independent, I'm self-assured, I can do anything, I'm all by myself. But you feel that there are no relationships, or the relationships are very not fulfilling. They are maybe codependent. Maybe you have always weak people around you because you have that facade of being strong, independent, self-made woman. And you have by your side a man who is weak, who doesn't have his own opinions. You cannot rely on him, actually. Or it can be an emotionally immature person, because you attract this person by this personality that you've created to protect yourself. And this is how all relationships are created, by the facades of our own protective parts. And we attract it, sometimes to the same facade, sometimes to the opposite. So there are different variations of that. But the main point is that you're attracted to a facade by your own facade. So at that moment, you can understand that here you can walk to that side of the floor of trauma sometimes And here you can see someone who is, for example, needy. You can see you had to push that away. So if you identify yourself with this personality, with the strong, independent, self-made, think what you had to push away. Neediness, softness. This part is emotional. And this one is rational. So here can be someone emotional, needy, soft, can be someone who is expressing themselves in a very artistic way. An artist. For example, so here can be a lot of different things, but for our example, it's enough. And you being identified with this personality, self-assured, independent, you feel a lot of fear when your psyche goes to the opposite side. So when you feel like, oh my God, now I feel like I'm weak, you are jumping out of it just as crazy. You start to go into protective mode, just like this, with a snap of your fingers. Because you feel like, okay, even this situation, I feel weak. I need to do anything possible to get out of it, because that weakness is reminding you of this part of you which is in pain. This part of you that couldn't cope. This part of you that was not supported, that was alone and dependent and so on. And you don't want to feel that anymore. And you connect this part to that pain. You say, if I'm weak again, I will get there, back in that pain that I couldn't digest. If I'm needy, I'm there. If I'm emotional, I'm there. So you block everything that is connected to emotions. You block everything that is connected to, for example, some creativity. You're rational, you're logical, you're independent, self-made, successful, and so on and so on and so on. And by the way, I had a client who went in this position and she came to me to work, to have that support, to work on herself. Like she said, I need to improve myself. So she used all the techniques of the field of self-awareness, spirituality as an improvement. I can improve if I will be more, just a little bit more spiritual. I can improve. And if I can improve, I can be better. And if I can be better, I can identify myself more with this part and I can be further away from this. And this is crazy. Because when she realized that, she was crying for a couple of hours, compulsively. Because she was letting out everything that was held inside of her underneath a lot of pressure. And that's huge, guys. So this is how our traumatic response is formed. And a lot of my clients, they're going from this part to this part. When they start to understand themselves more, they say, okay, I don't want to be that independent woman. I want to be soft, and I want to be more, I want to be more flexible. I want to have that feeling of lightness inside of myself. So what is happening when people going in that direction? They start to understand that they need some help, they need some practices, they need to do something. What is actually happening, guys? I'm calling it like one part of you is pushed by another. So there are two parts of this floor, yeah? Traumatic floor. One part is this direction, another part is this direction. And all of them. So here is the vibration with which you were born. For example, this is just like to show you that they're different. They don't mean anything else. So this is the vibration with which you were born. And this is the vibration that was when you were traumatized. And this is the vibration, for example, like this. The vibration of the traumatic floor, and it is almost the same. So your level of awareness here can be different because you are aware now about this part and you're aware of this part. But actually, nothing changed because you're in the same vibration. So a lot of women who were people pleasers, they step out of that pattern and then they go to self-assured, independent, self-made woman, and they're like, okay, now I want to do everything for myself. I want to have boundaries, I want to be strong, I want to say no when I want to, and so on. And it is nice. But usually it is coming out of just walking along this corridor, this traumatic floor. That's it. They're not changing anything. They're just walking from the needy part to a self-assured part. That's it. And they think that they've changed, that their life will be different. But then they come back and say, okay, I've changed everything. Why? Why do I feel the same? Why do I feel the same heaviness? So when people start the work, let's call it like this, usually the motivation mechanism behind that is when they feel that the part of them that was suppressed, the part of them that they say, I don't need you because this doesn't help me to survive. For example, if your survival strategy is to become sick, weak, to always want some support, and to say, I cannot cope by myself, I need somebody else next to me to cope. So if it is your strategy, whom do you push away? You push away that part of you that is strong, that knows what to do. So you push away that strong part of yourself and you say, this is not me. I'm a weak person. I'm actually cannot go by myself. I need protection. I need some guy next to me that can protect me. And you can dive into the codependent dynamics just because you identify yourself as a weak person, not capable of doing anything by themselves. A person that needs orders or at least advices to do something in their life. So it can be both. You can be on either part of that floor. So you start, when do you actually feel that you need to do the work? When do you feel like, okay, I need to do some spiritual work. I need to do some meditation. I need to have some psychological help. When is it happening? When you feel that that part of you that was suppressed, it doesn't mean, was it a strong part or a weak part? Doesn't matter. That part start to say, hey, I'm here. I want to come out. I'm tired of hiding. And that is happening because it is just energy that is blocked there. And that energy always wants to come out because it cannot stay. Like, when you just suppress something, it doesn't mean that it disappears. It just starts to be small, but then it just strikes out. Hi. So that's what I'm saying. That part of you that was suppressed, it starts to go out and you start to feel that, okay, if you are independent, self-made woman, you start to feel like, oh my God, sometimes I just want to collapse. Sometimes I just want somebody to hold me. Sometimes I just want that somebody comes and helps me. Why am I helping everybody? Why am I the responsible one? Why am I holding everything together? Why there is no one who can do that for me? And that is the voice of that part of you that is blocked. So that voice starts to come out, and then the protective part takes over. It says, no. If we go there, we will feel all the frustration, all the pain of that point. We'll go back to that point and feel everything again. So let's suppress it. And this is the loop, the traumatic loop. So the loop where you start to want to be whole again. And that feeling of I want to be whole again, it's coming out of that suppressed part that starts to raise its voice and starts to say, okay, I'm here. If you're a weak one, if you are in a weak dynamic of being needy, soft, not responsible, and so on, you can start to feel that, oh my God, I want to make a decision. I want to make my own decision, for God's sake. And you start to feel that arousal inside of you, that something is rising with a protest. And then your compensatory behavior starts to show up again and says, no, 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 no. If you'll make it, we can be wrong, you know. If you make a decision by yourself, that decision can lead you to something bad. And there are a lot of mechanisms that are trying to stop you, because we are using those tools to actually stop the part that is coming out. And in that conflict, usually people start to seek help. They start to go in therapy. They start to look for spiritual help. They start a lot of ways you can do that. Read books. You can find YouTube videos. And actually, at that point, you're very vulnerable, because at that point, there is a chance that you're gonna use everything you learn again against you, because your dominant part is your protective part, and it is giving you the way a little bit, but only till the time when it feels like, okay, here I'm losing the control, I will grab again. That's what's happening inside of all the deep work. That's why it's not that easy. It's not just like meditate, let it go, let it go. It doesn't happen like this, because that part can't let it go. It is absolutely sure that if it lets go, you're gonna die in that pain. That is an agony of that part. It doesn't want to go back, because when you were there, nobody helped you. You didn't have anyone mature enough to help you go through that. That's why you have that trauma. And that part of you, the protective personality that you have, it is absolutely sure that still there is no one, that no one will come to help you. Why? Because this tree of limited beliefs, it is a self-growing tree. You don't need even to water it. It is watering itself. Like, you know, those wise little pots, easy plants, I think they're called. When you just buy it, you just pour water inside and the plant is watering itself. This is what is happening with those limiting beliefs. Because you have the world that is created inside out. Everything that you have inside, you have the reflection of it on the outside. And when you have the reflection reinforces the source, the limited belief that was created in the point of your trauma. So you had that trauma, and inside of that trauma, you had the explanation why you have that unmet need. And that explanation is a self-realizing limiting belief. It is feeding itself by the reflection in the outer world. So if you see that, okay, I have an unmet need of an unconditional love, you're sure you cannot get it. The thing is that inside of you, you are absolutely sure that you cannot be loved the way you are. Because if you could, you would have been loved by your parents. But they didn't love you. But remember, I've talked about the loyalty that we have to our parents. Not because they're good or bad or something like it, but because this is the survival mechanism to be loyal to your parents. Otherwise, you would be dead. If your parents weren't there, if they just like left you outside, you couldn't survive. This is a very deep-seated belief. And because of this, you cannot go against your parents. And you think, okay, I can't be loved the way I am. If I can't be loved the way I am, something is wrong with me. And if something is wrong with me, here we come, there is shame. What is shame? Shame, it's not a feeling. Shame is something way deeper. Because shame is a mechanism of social integration. So shame is knowingness that something is absolutely true about yourself, and not willingness of showing that to the society. So if you know that you are absolutely not being able to be loved unconditionally, you will hide that. because you will do everything possible. People will not know that you are not being able to be loved unconditionally. So you create those personalities on top of personalities on top of personalities, and this is never ending story. So people will not see the core of you. So when you do the work, every time you're going deeper and deeper and deeper, you're closer to that shame that lives inside of you. And that shame is an actually big monster. This is how it feels. It's not bad. I'm just saying that it's a monster because as soon as we see it, we try to run away from it. We are trying so desperately to run away from everything that is shameful. It feels so bad because it's a mechanism of being included in the society or not included. So if you feel that something about you is absolutely wrong in its core, you need to hide it. If you won't hide it, you won't be accepted by the society. If you won't be accepted by the society, you're gonna die. So going back to the floor of trauma, guys, here, this spot is the most important spot where everything is happening actually when you are touching the deep core of yourself. So in this core, you are absolutely sure that this unmet need can't be met. And you're absolutely sure that you need to hide it. And you have an absolute 100% assurance that those limiting beliefs are the right ones. They're making you to feel that there is no other way. So what the limiting belief is trying to do, it's trying to perform a trick where you feel that only this is the truth. Only this is the truth. Okay, for example, you can't trust men. And that belief is so deep inside of you that you can have an amazing person next to you, a very nice relationships, but deep inside you are sure that you can't trust men. And you are not showing up for that relationship, being your true self. You're showing up all the time in the mask, protecting something deep inside of you. And this is just because that feeling of, okay, this belief is the only truth that is possible. You can override it with the logic and start to say, oh no, look, this guy is nice and that guy is nice. You can trust this guy and that guy, but this is only the surface level. Deep inside of you, you don't feel like you can actually trust those guys. And that is creating all the dynamics of relationships that are not fulfilling, career that is an absolutely nightmare, problems with the relationships with your kids, all that unhappiness, heaviness, lack of energy, and so on and so forth. All that is created by this dynamics. So now, if you understand better what is happening, I want you to feel like I told you that we are uncovering today the family stories and the scenarios you've inherited. Because the way your dad abandoned your family and didn't show up, it is also a traumatic response. I'd better abandon my life and abandon my family than look inside of me. Look at my vulnerable part. Look at my own pain. Look at my fragmentation mechanism. I'd better run away than touch those deep, painful parts. And you then inherit this thing of being a person who is running away from themselves, maybe in a different way. Maybe your dad was running away by abandoning your family. And you can be running away by being present in your family, by being the one who is responsible, loving, caring, giving everything, giving all of you to this family and saying, I sacrifice my all of it for these kids, for this guy, for the family we have. But that is also a pattern of running away that you inherited from your dad. But he was running away by keeping a distance, and you're running away by staying close. Because if I'm a good mom, a responsible, a people pleaser, I'm doing everything, all the work, I'm taking care of everyone, if I'm always nice, smiling, if I'm doing everything right, I will not face that pain. That's also running away. I will not face the pain that dad created inside of me. So guys, I just want to show you that all of it is coming from our parents who also lived in emotional dark age, and their parents and their parents and their parents. It's take a victim to make a victim. It takes a victim to make a victim. It's not good or bad. I'm not saying anything like, oh, this is good or this is bad. I'm describing you the mechanisms so you can understand and be more honest with yourselves. What stepping stone are you standing on? Are you going towards yourself, towards that pain, or away from it? Are you using spirituality? Because chances are that you are self-aware if you're watching this till this point, that you are doing the work, that you are the one who's interested in their inner world. And if you are that person, my question is, what is your stepping stone right now? Where are you standing? Are you going towards yourself, being eager to face it, or at least willing to face all that? And it is painful. It's not roses and rainbows and unicorns. The work of coming towards yourself, it is brutal. I'm not telling that it is just like pink and gummy bears. It is brutal. But there is no one in the whole world that can do that for you. No one. Absolutely no one. You can have a guide, you can have a mentor, you can have a tool, you can have a society of people that can help you, you can have a community, you can have a support, but you cannot have a person who will do it for you. No way. So here I'm just trying to show you what is method of 3 eyes. This is a tool that we use. The work is done by you, but the tool that you can use, it is designed to mention all of the parts of fragmentation, to help you understand all of your stepping stones, all of your compensatory adaptive mechanisms. Adaptation and compensation are different things. Adaptations can be not compensative in its nature, but all compensations are adaptations. So you can adapt to the dad leaving your family in a compensative manner by saying, oh, I don't need that dad. He's a bad dad. I can cope by my own. I don't need that guy in my field at all. I can't survive without men at all. I'm independent. I'm self-made. I'm self-assured. And our society today actually is supporting that we can cope, we can survive, we can be responsible, we can be all of the things. And this is not wrong in and of itself. It's just like when you have the traumatic response, all that will be very sweet to your ears. You will say, yes, I'm self-made. Yes, I'm independent. Yes, I did it myself. Yes, 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 yes. Praise me more. Not bad. It just, when you are not aware of these dynamics, you can be stuck in that. You can be stuck in those feelings of, okay, they praise me. I will take it in. Everything, give me more. And by that, you're actually reinforcing the traumatic response. So when you are aware that it can be happening in this way and that way, that both ways actually are possible, you can see the difference between realization that I can be in some compensation And when you are in that compensation and you're not realizing that, and you're going against yourself, you are reinforcing your trauma by thinking you are healing it. You're like, okay, I'm healing my trauma because yes, I'm not a victim. I can be independent, strong, and so on. But deep inside, there is a part of you that want to collapse, that wants support, that want to be seen, understood, taken care of. And by ignoring that part, you're reinforcing your compensatory mechanisms, and you are making your life not easier, but much, much more difficult, heavier. It feels like a burden. Why? Because you don't see that there is a very big part of you that you are in opposition to. So again, there is no right or wrong way. If you use the method of 3 eyes, first thing you do, you step on the first stepping stone, identification, first eye. I need to identify this, my floor of trauma. So you can see that you have, for example, some question in your life, or you can call it a problem. For example, I have a problem with my extra weight. I want to really start healthy eating habit. I really want to, I don't know, be in the mood for a gym 3 times a week. And this is my problem. And you can present it to yourself like a problem. Okay, I have a problem. Why is it a problem? It's a problem because I feel heavy, I feel no energy, and I want to feel energy, and I feel like I have extra weight, and that extra weight, it's not letting me live my whole life. I cannot move forward with that extra weight. Okay, you identified your problem, but that's not the whole process of identification. The second step is to feel if there is a part that is against your coping mechanism of unhealthy eating. And you can feel inside of yourself a part that says, oh, that is wrong. We need to stop eating those sweets, burgers, like junk food, and so on. We need to stop doing this. We need to get back to healthy pattern. Oh, remember, when we were 19, we used to eat so nice food. We were all green. We were eating, I don't know, smoothies and this and that. And you can feel that dialogue inside of you going on. So you against you. One part of you says, I can't cope without sweets. And another part says, look at you, look in the mirror. We need to do something about it. This is bad. This is actually bad. So now you're diving deeper in the process of identification. Where am I standing? I'm standing on the path of being me against me. Why am I there? Because I'm sure that this part is preventing me from having something. What do I want to have? I want to have recognition. I want to have support, or I want to have love. I want to have somebody next to me. Okay, so you already have an unmet need. Where is this need coming from? So bit by bit, you can understand that you have your own floor of trauma. And that floor is not the only floor. You have floors of traumas inside of you, hundreds of them, hundreds. And they are like, you can even create a maze, because from one floor, the other one is extended. And you can see like this is like the mosaic, a lot of different floors. And you can be on the deeper floor by working with that floor, by integrating that floor. You can feel like all the others are integrated too. So it works like a tree of limiting beliefs. If you go to the roots, you can work faster. But obviously you don't need that speed, because if you think that I need to be more efficient, I need to pick up the highest speed I can, you're always not on the path. You're already not on the path. You are not on the path, but you are on the way of opposition. You're opposing your work because you're trying to speed it up. Trying to speed up the work means you are not in the work. You are in the process of trauma, in the traumatic response, in the layer of your protective self. So the first identification is this. And then we are going to integration, the second eye. Integration in the method of three eyes. We are integrating this part. There is a technique how to do that. I cannot tell you right now because there is not enough time to tell you just right here in our live stream about this. Yes, you can ask questions, definitely. You can ask questions. I want your questions. So you integrate this, you can write it down for now. I will continue, and when it's there in the chat box, I'll read it. So you have that process of integration of first your protective mechanism. This is the very important thing because we want to integrate the part that was like our shadow. Everybody's talking about shadow work. Shadow work is fine. But first part that you need to integrate is the part that you are in opposition to because you came to this work. So that part of, I'm independent. Yes, I'm self-made woman. Yes, I have a very successful career. But now I'm against this part because it feels like this part didn't fulfill my expectations. This part didn't give me what I wanted. And if you feel it, you are in a sense of against this part. So the first process of integration is integrating a protective mechanism. Then we are integrating your shadow, that part that you express, for example, only in 5% of the time. This is also, I have tools for that. We are doing a special work. And I have a course that we are doing together live. Yeah. So we are integrating this part. Then in the process of integration, we have a part where we work with our ancestral field. And this is not the family constellations. This is not like put your mom on her place or get your grandma back to the system. No, it's not about this. It's about the resonance, the family resonance that is felt in your field, the loyalty to that family resonance. For example, if you had, like in Ukraine, we had fame and people were hungry for a couple of years. They couldn't eat anything. And we have that trauma in our blood, in our bones, in everybody who is Ukrainian. Yeah. So that is also like something that we are loyal to. And we are integrating that if it's connected, obviously. So there is a session of the family resonance, and we are working with that. And this is the part of the integration mechanism. And there is the last eye, initiation of the method of three eyes. This is the method of three eyes. The last eye is when we go up and above, and we end up here in owning our trauma. There is also a tool how to initiate its initiation. That resource, that energy that we lacked in this point when we had a traumatic response, when we had an unmet need, when we've created limited beliefs that can help us go up. And then we are here owning our trauma, and our vibration is not this, it's not this anymore. It's something else, something absolutely different. Because we are already not in the position of coming into this life. We already have that experience that we have inside of us, and we are standing on top of it. Not on top like I'm on the top of the world and everybody else is not important. No, it's when you can use your adaptations and you can actually create. It's a creative energy. You can create a way when you use those adaptive mechanisms for your good. I have a question there. Let me read it. How are we supposed to have authentic romantic relationships when humans are no naturally monogamous, like going against our nature? This is a very nice question. I can thank you for that a lot, because now working with the subconscious mind and working with relationships in particular, I'm getting those questions more and more. And I can tell you that the goal is not to get to your authentic self, because this is not the thing that can be done overnight, if you know what I mean. Yeah, we can be, like keeping romantic relationship with one person, but enjoying sex with the same person for years. You can do that. So there is no rule that you are supposed to have one person, or a rule that you're supposed to have many. There is a very deep understanding that we can be authentically monogamous, and we can be authentically not monogamous right now. There is no rule that all people are like this or all people are like that. There is a personal path in both directions. So if you feel right now that being authentic self means to have this relationship with this one person, and you actually feel you can be honest with yourself and you can feel good about it, and it's your true core is talking to you, like you are in a connection with your true self, not with your compensatory mechanisms, but you really feel that this is your path right now, then take it. On the other hand, if you feel like you are in a relationship and you feel that you need to explore something else, you need to explore some other ways of being in a relationship, and you can feel that this is not a traumatic response because you want to show your dad that he wasn't right or something else, so you can really feel that the exploration is what you want to do, and it feels like you, go for it. I want to say there is no exact answer. People are looking for an answer. Okay, I need to be like this or like that. I need to do this way or that way. There is no strict rule about it. So my goal is to teach people to get back to their core, to get back home to themselves. And when they are there, they can really feel what is good for them. I cannot say that this is good for you or that is good for you. This is right for you or that is right for you. Because I'm not you. I cannot say that. I can tell you that there are tools that can help you to go to the place where you can really feel the right answer. And you will not think, okay, is it the right answer or not? Am I here in my authentic self or not? You will really feel that this feels right now just actually right for me. And just one thing that I want you to know, there is no other person that can tell you what is right for you. Only you can. Nobody else cannot get under your skin and tell you, okay, this is the rule, follow it. Because they're not you. They can give you an advice, they can show you different ways, give you tools, give you support, unconditional love, but they cannot feel for you. And I feel like in our society right now, we are more looking for right answers, but we are not looking for the truth inside of us. We are looking for some right answer that will make us a right person, doing the right thing. And it was like it before, we even have a culture of movies, we have a culture of, books that were teaching us to do the right thing. We need to do the right thing, but that right thing was not determined by us. The right thing was determined by something that was actually limiting us, by something that was good for someone else, convenient for someone else. So just think of it. Is it important to be right and good, or is it important to be yourself? What feels better? This is the open question. So it's not like there is an answer to that. Just think of it. Just dive deeper inside of yourself, thinking of what is right for me. And why am I naming it right? What is true for me? And why am I naming it true? Because even in those questions that you ask yourself, You can see the language that is used by you, and that language can lead you to understanding what are you seeking. So if you are seeking something that what is right for me, then your personality is built on the righteousness. Am I a good person? I feel a lot in my clients and in my work, and I'm working for a long time, guys. I'm just right now doing it in English, but I'm working in Ukrainian language for years, for a decade with people. As a mentor, I have a lot of courses where I work with people. And I can tell you that people usually use the concept of self-awareness, of the path towards themselves in order to be right, to be a good person. Because the criteria of being a good person changed right now. And the criteria of being good and right is now to be more mature, to be more spiritual, to be more kind, to be more loving. It's not bad. But still, our psyche can use it. We are trying to be right, to be in the right and not to be in the wrong. And we can use all the means possible to be in the right and not to be in the wrong, because to be in the wrong feels horrible. We've been there in our childhood, in our trauma. And we were here and nobody joined, nobody helped. And we thought, okay, being right can help me to get away from that pain. You know that we are running from pain towards pleasure. And that race is actually a never-ending story. And we are using right now our age of spiritual development, self-awareness. We are using it again to be right, again to be the one who understood everything, who is better than others. And you know that this topic stemmed from your question because it feels the energy of the question that you are looking for something right. That it's not about monogamous relationships or polygamous relationships. That it's about you trying to be right, trying not to make a mistake. And again, it's not bad. But the question is, why is it important for you to be right? Why is it important for you not to make a mistake? What if you will make a mistake? What's going to happen in relationships? What will it cost you? Why is it scary? And this is like the very deep work that you can do. Some days ago, I had a client who came to me and we were working on his divorce. He actually didn't want his wife to get the part of his house, to get the part of the money that he earned, because he felt that she didn't do anything. She was like, having fun with her girlfriends when he was doing the work, and she didn't help him at all. And he came to me with the question, like he came to work on his anger, suppressed anger, to work on his masculine energy and so on. Nothing bad in that. But our work uncovered that he actually wanted me to tell him that he is right by not wanting to give away the half of his money. So he was trying to force me in that dynamics of telling him that, yeah, man, you're right. She didn't do anything for it. So yeah, you can really go and go to the court and say, I will not give you anything, and to play that dirty card that you have in your sleeve. He wanted that from me because he wanted to be right, because he wanted the explanation, the outside support for his explanation of the events. Why am I telling you that? Because that motivation to be right is so deeply rooted inside of us that we just cannot give it away. And I will read your comment right now. He didn't, first, I didn't go into that dynamics with him, obviously. So I was responding, I was asking him questions that could deepen his perspective. But at some point, he told me that I realized that I was trying to make you give me the answer all of these days. And the most profound work was that you didn't give me that answer, and I had to cope with that. And I felt like I'm coping the way I coped in my childhood. I started to distract myself. I started to go into people pleasing dynamics. I started to be nice to my wife suddenly, and so on and so forth, like I did in my childhood when I felt I'm in the wrong. So, all that was not about the divorce. All that was not about money, taking money, giving money, and all that stuff. All of that was about him being a small boy who wanted to be right. And when he wasn't right, and he felt that he wasn't right, he was going into a dynamics of people pleasing, of trying to get the positive attention from his mother, to be the guy who is convenient, pleasant, and so on. So I'm trying to deeper your perspective by that. He was so sure that it's all about money. But actually, it came out to be a very deep inner work. I want to be right because, the vast majority of relationships end, and I feel like it's part of the culture. But being right means going against your own truth and nature. Yeah, that's a very good self-reflection that you have there. But I feel like people trying to do what's right is what is ending the relationships, yes, because they repress their true natures. That's true. That's true that you're saying there. I mean, by the energy. I'm not saying that, oh, I'm the person who will tell you what is true, what's not. I'm just reading the energy, yeah, and I'm giving you a feedback. It feels like you are there right now, feeling the truth of it all. Like, oh, that's true for me. So you have that truth. And then think, what is against that truth inside of you? What's making that truth to come on the surface? Because if you would have peace inside of you with that truth, because it feels like you are standing, your stepping stone it's like, it's my truth. I've uncovered something about me, and you are standing there. So my goal right now with you is not to go into relationship topics, you see? I'm telling you what is underneath it on energetic level. So you are stepping on the truth, but you wouldn't be doing that if you would have had that peace inside of you. So my next question is, what is against that? What do you feel is against that truth that you've uncovered? What is that force that makes you to pop up that truth on the surface? Because you're doing that with some intention. To uncover the intention, you need to understand what is the oppositional force. Where is it coming from? And you're already doing the work, the deep work, if you can feel it right now. So it's not about, again, the topic, because all of my clients, they're coming to me with some kind of a problem. They name it a problem. Hi, hello. They're naming it a problem. But then when we are going deeper in the work, inside, we reveal that that problem is not a problem at all. And I call the next level a symptom. So you have a problem. Let me draw again. So let me draw and I will show you. I know that the camera doesn't flip the chart, so you cannot see in the right way the letters. You see them like in the mirror. I know how to do that on my camera settings, but I have no idea how to do that on Instagram. So you can see not in a mirror reflection all that I draw. But still, you'll understand me, I'm sure. So there is a problem that you can imagine like an iceberg. Yeah, here is the ocean. So this is the problem. When you name a problem, you can say relationships, money, Oh, it's like eyes. Relationships, money, insecurities, health, friendships, childhood problems, all the stuff, you can just name it. But it's all on the surface. And the surface is, as I told you, like our inner inner floor of trauma. One part is your suppressed self, and there can be anything. It's not like, if you went into one direction, for example, in people pleasing, it doesn't mean that on the opposite side you will always get, for example, your own desires. No, you will get on the other side everything that didn't allow you to go into people pleasing. For example, there can be your sensitivity towards your own needs. So you can desensitize yourself towards your own needs in order to be a people pleaser. Because when you are a people pleaser, you cannot have your own needs. And the less sensitive you are to your own needs, the better it is for your people-pleasing mechanism. So in the opposite direction of the floor of trauma actually can be your desensitivity, can be that part of you that is sitting there and seeing your own needs coming to the surface and putting them back down. So as soon as you feel, oh, like I need a rest, there is a mechanism that says, no, you don't need a rest. Oh, I need a hug. And there is a mechanism, let's go for a run. We need to run right now because you've been sitting for a whole day and we need to have some pump in our blood, so let's go. Those mechanisms are very, very automatic. Sometimes you can't even understand that they are in place right now, that the alarm was going loud inside of you and that they just switched on to protect you. The more you work with yourself using the method of 3 eyes, the more aware you are of those mechanisms. So what I'm trying to say is the problem arises when you have that part that is trying to show up and you have that protective mechanism that is trying to knock it down, like, go away, I don't want you. And that feeling of discomfort is what is creating a problem. Because when you have the discomfort, you start to call it what it is. So in your case, for example, you have a trauma about relationships and about trust and about intimacy. I don't know, it's just like a proposition, a hypothesis. So if you have the trauma around intimacy, around trust, there is a part of you that says, I can trust myself in relationships, I can be myself, I want to be myself, I want to show another person who I am. And there is another part that says, beware, nah. We cannot do that. We cannot fully trust people. Maybe not men, not women, just people. We can't trust them. They are not monogamous. They are polygamous. How am I supposed to trust them? So this comes on top of the trauma that is about intimacy, that is about trust. So when you have one part of you that is trying to go out and say, I want to trust, and another part, we can't trust, it just goes on the surface in a way of an iceberg. And you have that top that says, I have a problem with monogamous people. I'm just like, now it's not you already. Yeah, just don't take it personal. I'm just going above and beyond that you told us here. So, and you have that problem and you can say, okay, I need to solve this problem. That's it. That's what I need to do. But that problem is coming out of the discomfort. So, and I call it here a symptom. It's not the symptom like we have a symptom in health problems. It's just because I lack the better word. There is no better word I can use. Unfortunately, there is no better word I can use And I was trying to find something more vibrationally appropriate for this, but I just couldn't. That's why I use symptom, and I'm like open if you have any suggestions for the word. So we have a symptom here, and that symptom stems out of discomfort. That stems out of that trauma floor and fragmentation thing. And that A and B go together in a fight. They create a discomfort, and that discomfort creates a symptom, and that symptom goes on the surface in the appearance of a problem, in a disguise of a problem. And you really think, if I solve the problem, everything will be okay. But it won't. Because if you solve the problem, just on a mental level, everything else stays the same. It will just get another peak. Your symptom will get another peak out of the ocean. But the problem is not a problem. It's just a place where you need to dive deeper. Problem is coming on the surface with a very good intention to get your attention. That's it. When it has your attention, with your attention, you can already go deeper. You can already talk about it. You can already do the work. You can go into your subconscious. You can start the actual process. But again, if you are willing to do so. So on an energetic level, you can always feel that the problem is not a monster. It's not what you need to deal with. You need to deal with something really deep. And that's how the whole system works. So let me give you another example. I had a client who came to me and she said, my problem right now is that with my husband, we cannot understand each other. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm going on retreats. I'm opening up myself to the world, and he's very emotionally immature. He doesn't want to know what I feel. He is very distant. He throws tantrums. He's usually at work. That's why we can really stay together, because I don't see him very much. But still, I feel like I'm not really loved. I feel like I'm not really wanted, not really understood, and this is my problem. And when we started to dive deeper in that problem, we understood that her willing to know herself, her willing to dive into the spiritual world, was made to avoid being flat, to avoid being not interesting, to avoid being a person who is sort of, not deep enough. And when we dive deeper into that, we came to her childhood, where she had a twin sister who was absolutely different. Oh, sorry. So she was very logical. She was very structured. Her compensational mechanism was to understand everything, to deal with the problems, to solve the problems, and she was very rational about that. And her twin sister, she was emotional, she was crying a lot, she was the one to whom all the attention went because she couldn't hold herself together, and her mom said, oh my God, she's not doing well, I need to pay attention to her, you can cope by yourself, you're such an adult, you're such a little adult, I'm so proud of you, you're not giving me any problems. And your sister, like, she's always the problem. And at that moment, she abandoned herself because she had to be that one who doesn't have any problems. She had to be the one who always on top of it all, who understands everything, who solves everything. And she went into spirituality, started from Tony Robbins programs. I'm not against Tony, amazing guy and amazing programs. But she went to Tony Robbins because she wanted to get that feeling of superiority, to get that feeling that I know it all, I am better. And your husband was that emotionally immature one because your mom was emotionally immature one. And she chose her husband like her mom's prototype because her mom couldn't take care of her, couldn't take care of her sister. Her sister went into emotional part and she went into a logical part to save herself from the mom who was not ready to have children at all. So the problem, my husband is like it and I am like it, was not a problem. So she thought that she needs to make him to go into the spiritual field. She thought that him going into the spiritual field will save the day. By this, he will understand everything. By this, they can be connected, they can be closer together. But she was not looking for closeness. She was looking for her superiority, for her knowing it all, understanding it all. And she felt that discomfort because her other part wanted desperately not to be the one who figured it all out. She wanted to be seen as the one who didn't know anything, who didn't understand anything, and who had the right to not to understand anything. And that what created that discomfort, and that discomfort created the symptom, and symptom was already in her head as, okay, I'm feeling all that because my husband is this. So it wasn't the work with them as a couple. It was the work with her inner floor of trauma, where she simply divided herself and identified herself with the one who is logical, structured, on top of it all, and so on. And you may think, okay, but if I integrate that part of me that is on top of it all, but it's not bad to be on top of it all. If I integrate that, then I'll become lazy, unwilling, I will just like sit there, do nothing, because that's the problem of all people who have the compensatory protective part that is a strong one, that is an overachiever. It was me. I was an overachiever for years, guys. I was in that dynamics and I was fooling myself. Like, oh, I had a psychologist, so we worked on it. I'm not an overachiever anymore. And then I'm doing meditations, I'm doing journaling, I'm waking up 5 a.m. and I'm like, why am I doing that? Oh, so I can achieve it all. I can be effective in my work. I can be a good mom. I can be an amazing wife. And I also can be a spiritual person. How fun. So then I went to coaching. I had a coach and a mentor. And I was working there on my overachiever part. And I thought, okay, I'm done there. Perfect. I'm not an overachiever anymore. I'm fine. And then I found myself having 7 clients per day, having 2-hour sessions with each. 7 clients per day. Because I thought, oh, this field is really my field. I'm so fascinated by the way human beings are created. I'm so fascinated by our own psyche, by trauma, by all that. Then I can do that all day long. And I really could. But it wasn't from that point where I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do right now, and in the next moment I can switch to something else. No, I ended up having 7 clients, guys. 7 per day. 2-hour sessions. Not seeing the daylight at all. So when I understood that I'm again into that overachieving mechanism, hello, when I felt that I'm again there, I understood that, okay, some puzzle is missing. Because I'm using all that to continue to be an overachiever. And only when I used the method of 3 eyes, for me, it worked. So my path was like that. Different ups and downs. And still, you think I don't have the voice of an overachiever protective part in myself? I do. Sometimes I hear it like, okay, you could be dancing right now. Why are you sitting on the couch? Because I'm doing dancing classes and I enjoy them. So my overachiever part is trying to show itself through my hobby. Sometimes it's really happening. So, and that is the thing that is absolutely natural. It doesn't mean that you're gonna cure it all, fix it all, and be around, I don't know, pink gummy bear floating in the sky. No. It means that with the work that you're doing, you're more and more connected to yourself, connected to who you really are, beyond the survival self. The survival self doesn't know all the answers. The survival self knows only how to survive. And if you are connected to the survival self most of your time, you're missing your bigger life. I'm not saying that you are missing your life because you're living your life, but in a protective part. If that's what you want, fine, you can do that. But if you want to have a bigger than that life, then welcome to the work. Welcome to the method of 3 eyes. Welcome to all those deeply rooted mechanisms that are all you. It's all you. It's not like, oh, be authentic true self, all the rest is irrelevant. No. That is what creates that pressure, opposition, that feeling of not being yourself. Because it feels like all the world is in opposition to those protective parts right now. You should be your true authentic self. It means that everything else is not true. But guys, you just can feel that it's not what it is. It feels weird when you say that your true authentic self is the only self that is okay. But your protective self is okay too. Your shadow self is okay too. Your traumatized self is okay too. And all of them are yours. And in order to live a bigger, fulfilled life, you just need to connect them all together, all the pieces, and to feel like they are really connected, to feel like you can be it all in one place. So that's what method of 3 eyes is. And tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, we'll be going deeper into that. We'll be talking about that more and more, because I feel like my work is all dedicated to that process, to that deeper level of integration. I'm not saying in my work, I'm already not using the word heal yourself, because when you're healing yourself, it means that something is broken. When you say fix yourself, become your true authentic self, and then who am I now? Am I valid at all? If I need to be just a true authentic one? But your compensative mechanisms are valid too. And that's a new point of view, a new way of feeling yourself. When you're not against any part of yourself, you can really feel love. Because self-love is the absence of self-opposition, when all of your parts are valid and true. And that's what we are doing in Method of 3 Eyes. That's what the goal of this process. And that, guys, it really feels home. And I'm not saying that you will not feel the disconnection again, that you will not feel that some protective part of you is now more active than another. Even after integration, you will still have those episodes, but you will feel them from the other point. From I drew before, yeah, that there is a point on top when you are owning your trauma. You are not inside of it, you're owning it. It means that you can get out of those protective parts something that is good for you. It's good for your life, for your fulfillment, for your enjoyment, for your understanding. And that's really something important here. So guys, for today, thank you very much for joining me. I hope that people can watch everything in the recording. I will save the video. If you just joined, you can rewatch from the beginning. I explained there the method of 3 eyes. I've explained there the floor of trauma, how is it created, and you can also create your own floor of trauma. You can text me, you can send me a DM, and for example, ask questions if you have them. So you're absolutely free to talk to me. I'm open to conversations. Tomorrow we'll meet each other on the day 2 of our workshop, Beyond the Survival Self, where I can explain you even more, and we will do the practice. So we will do the integration practice, and I will show you how this practice differs from other practices, because I've started to tell you that I'm not using the word fix it, I'm not using the word heal it, I'm saying integrate it, because the integration is a different process. And integration is not the process that is perfect. For example, if you integrated something, it cannot go out of the socket anymore. It can. But still, as I told you, your experience of integrating something is creating that new vibration inside of you, where you stand on top of it all, and you can see your trauma, you can see your responses, you can see your compensatory mechanisms. And from that point of view, you already can use what was there created by you. You can create other amazing ways of using your compensatory mechanisms in a positive way, in a way that benefits you, that serves you, that makes your life easier, more joyful, more pleasant. So tomorrow I'm waiting for you here the same time. It's 10 a.m. in LA. So it is like, you can count your own time. I will drop in my stories, I will drop the timing for our tomorrow session. So for Los Angeles, I'm in LA. So for California, for Los Angeles, it is 10 a.m. tomorrow, 1st of July. We'll meet here and we will discuss with you the next level of it all. And we will do the integrative practice. So if you feel like it, if you want it, if you want to join me, I will be more than happy to have you guys here tomorrow. Thank you very much for today. Thank you for attention, and I see you.